Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. The past year and a half has been very challenging for all of us across the globe. And although we've been going through a very tough time, the team has managed to keep the morale high. And a special thanks to all our partners who've been always with us, not just from the business perspective, but also checking up on us, looking at what's going on in the country, what's happening at our homes. So, a special thanks to our partners for that. During this entire time, we decided to go back to the drawing board and figure out the scope of improvements based on all the amazing suggestions that we've been receiving from our partners. And we are delighted to have all of you today present. Currently, when we started 5 years ago, it was just five of us. And currently, today, Oizom is a family of more than 40 partners spread across 35 plus countries. I'm super delighted to invite all of you. And with this, as we launch our product, which has improved efficacy, improved and more robust, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ayan Karmakar, the Chief of Staff, to take us through the presentation, take us through all the novel developments that have been there, and pass on this information. Also, just one quick thing before I hand it over to Ayan is I understand that a lot of partners had this concern that someone from the technical team or one of the other members couldn't join. So Ayan is going to ensure that this recording is going to be recorded and a YouTube link will be shared with all our partners after this presentation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Ayan.
Thank you, Jainam. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. Uh, let us begin with the today's webinar. I'll just share my screen. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining all of you. Welcome to today's webinar. I hope all of you are staying safe and being positive during this pandemic. The good positive, as we all know. As Jainam said, my name is Ayan Karmakar. I'm the Chief of Staff at Oizom, and today I'll be conducting this webinar. On the panel, I have Sohil Patel, who is the CTO of Oizom, and he's going to help us in terms of the Q&A and other such things. Now, a couple of instructions before we begin. This is a one voice presentation, and we'll be using some multiple cameras for better experience. Feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A section. I'll be answering them at the end of the webinar and ensure that all of the answers are there for discussion. So he will help me out in case it's needed. So let's begin today's webinar. The pandemic had thrown a lot of challenges. Janam very rightly said, but at Oizom we decided to stay together, stay positive, as happy as we can, and embrace these challenges. The new normal meant that working from home, we had to adjust that. We did some sync ups. We periodically met for team meetings, sometimes just for fun and building up the morale. So a very unique idea came through one of such sync ups, and that actually turned out to be a very useful product. So we could develop a smart fever detection system, that is FIVO, which helped overcome the limitations of handheld devices. And I take the pride to say that today around 1,500 of FIVO Plus and FIVO Bots are deployed across the globe. So that is one achievement that we could cater to. Another one is something that we worked and we wanted to work since a lot of time, is to build our own knowledge base, and we created many articles, blogs, and most importantly also made some educational videos, and all this under the name of Oizom Academy. So currently there are more than 20 such videos available on our YouTube channel. Our environment team focused on writing 10 important white papers, which highlights many aspects like technology, calibration, field trials, and all of them can be accessed through our website. The team also put in efforts to enhance our calibration setup. You all must know that we have an ISO 17025 laboratory, which is equipped with zero and span calibration capability. But now it is powered with BAM, that is a beta attenuation method monitor for PM, It's a gold standard method, and our particulate matter monitors will now be co-located and calibrated against that in the future. And lastly, our R&D team, which has been contributing excellently over this period of time, they did some tremendous work, and we overcame the shortcomings that we had and added few features that were requested by all of you and some of our other clients. So some of these features were deployed on the go, whereas some have been incorporated, and we are now going to showcase all those features in this design. So to begin with, let me just give an overview of this slide. I'm sure all of you will be aware about this particular slide during our sales presentations, and we had spoken about what our standard offerings are, the capability of monitoring more than 30 parameters, and the data visualization software with multiple modules like reports, analytics, and so on. So more or less, the upgrade does not affect the overall ecosystem. It's more like some value addition, and there have been certain changes in the entire offering in terms of adding certain features that help us, you get a better usage, or maybe get a better operation and maintenance. So to begin with, the major shift that we did is move from a controller-based approach to a processor-based approach. So let me throw some light on this. In our previous versions, a microcontroller had limitations, which means that only one task can be performed. So in cases like Modbus, there were certain error readings that we got when there was a simultaneous task that was going around, like maybe a sensor data collection or something like that. So if there was a data pull request every 1 or 5 seconds, it would always conflict, and we would get such error readings. And to add to this, the memory was limited, external memory was limited, and we just had capability of 1 MB flash memory and 128 KB RAM. Also, there was a chance that the SD cards could be corrupted due to extreme conditions, maybe some industrial temperatures and so on. So we found to shift to a processor-based approach, as I said, and this version now has a quad-core ARM Cortex A72 high-performance processor, which means the device is now capable of running multiple processes parallelly. So with around 1.5 gigahertz, and it's like 80 times faster than what it was in our previous version. So what does this mean? It means that services like sensor data collection service, the device management service, database management service, and network management, all these can run in parallel, and all of it without no error reading and a data pull request every second. So we could achieve all those shortcomings that we had in our previous version with this new upgrade. To add to this, now there's a GPS with built-in antenna, which is a part of this version. In the previous version, we could retrieve the data from GSM triangulation with smart APIs. So this means the newer version has highly accurate coordinates, and now there could be possible exploration of some non-stationary applications. So that is some achievement that we can get from this. With all such power-packed features, obviously there had to be a little increase in the power consumption. So previously, what the device used to have around 2.5 watts, now the power consumption has doubled, so around 5 watts. So this means that the battery backup that we had offered also reduces to around 12 hours, a minimum 12 hours. Like there can be certain changes, but that is also half. Also, the capability of running on independently solar power will not be available with this current version. With the built-in memory, I have something extra to add on. The more features which I want to highlight upon, there is an 8 GB built-in eMMC. So this has been tested in the industrial temperature. So that gives us a confidence with the negligible corruption rate. So which is now offered with our new design. Now over 3 months of data can be on board in the conditions built in eMMC, which is now available. Also with your feedback, we ensured an additional feature. So in case of network failure, we could find that there were certain constraints with data recovery. So with this feature, once the network is retrieved, the stored data in the memory will be auto synced in the cloud database. So that is something that we could achieve with this particular version. Now, to make some sense of what I was saying so far with this entire thing, let me put some perspective into all the things that I was saying, from maybe the controller to processor approach, and what exactly benefits you as a partner. So most of you must be knowing this slide again. This is from our standard sales pitch. We showcase the system architecture here. So let me just show some changes that we have encountered. So firstly, let me just give you a highlight on what is EDI, which is what I'm going to talk about here. It's the environmental data interpretation engine, or as we fondly know here is EDI. So this is actually responsible for running temperature or humidity compensation algorithms on the raw sensor data. So any chances of fine tuning or validation of the data is done here. And in the new version, this is what is going to be inside our device. So that means all the process data that is generated is in the device. Now, you may ask that how do you benefit, or what do your end customers benefit from this? So let me take an example. If the data on Modbus is hence available on a data pull request, so just not only Modbus, any other data on any other communication protocol, but the final data that is generated from this device can be sent through, let's say, a LoRa. So this means the APIs we had used to send the interpreted sensor data from cloud is no longer needed, right? It can be retrieved from your device itself because EDI is there itself. Amazing, right? So I'm going to showcase some actual examples of what all features can be built on this. So I think that will give you more perspective. In case if you have any questions, please feel free to write down in the Q&A section. We'll discuss it once this presentation is over. So as I said, EDI was on cloud and the data was pushed on the cloud to the client. But now the new device itself has the EDI inside. That's the environmental data interpretation engine. So the same HTTP REST API, which you've been using, can be now used on the device. So one can easily pull the data by connecting the device into the network using the same API structure which is there on your screen. All of you, I mean, most of you must have been, encountering this while you're doing the API integration. But now I think the question would be that how do you, connect to the device on the network? So I'll curb your curiosity on that when I move on to my next slide and show you how that is done. So let's say if the device is not connected to any local network through Ethernet or Wi-Fi. So the beauty is that the device will now be in a hotspot mode. Yeah. So to connect to it, you can easily connect it via a smart device, a laptop, through Wi-Fi and access the data. Now, this becomes very easy when it's maybe a need for a debugging at site or a possibility of carrying out calibration without any remote dependency. So that is something that we have achieved, and it's kind of great that the dependency becomes so less on the support team that any user or any engineer can go on site and perform a calibration. We will talk about how to do that in the next slide. So what you see on your screen is a snapshot of the data visualization software that most of you would have access through either terminal.wisdom.com or data.wisdom.com. It's the same UI with some necessary modules. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you a quick demo of this particular screen, and you can then I'll show you on my laptop and how we are going to connect to it, the different configurations, the sensor configuration, the network configuration, and just give you a glimpse of how it looks. So let me just share my screen again and So this is how the entire settings or the actual device visualization software looks like. It's just that this is my device ID on the URL that I have given .local, and I can access the device here. So I connect it to the hotspot, and then after that, I go to the settings module, and here when I am seeing I can have three options. So it's sensor, WAN, and LAN. So the first amazing feature that we have at this point is you can enable or disable any sensors just from this toggle. All the sensors possible which is there in your device, including the gas sensors, can now be controlled from here. That is, you can either enable or disable from here and just click on the update config button, and that's it. It's done. We'll talk about the calibration mode in a while. Let me just quickly switch to the WAN tab. So you see there are three options that are currently shown here. That is Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and GSM. So Ethernet can be connected over DHCP or static. We have two options for you to select and configure this particular wired communication. Wi-Fi is how there will be two modes in this as well. So it can work on the AP mode and also on the station mode. So usually with the SSID and the password, your credentials can be filled in, and you can connect to the particular Wi-Fi router at your premise, and then access the data, which currently what I am doing right now. And in the GSM, I'll just refresh this. I think just give me a moment. So we actually are facing a little issue at this moment because there is this cyclone that has come here in Ahmedabad where I'm sitting. I think it's named as Toktai, and it's right now at this very moment that I speak, it's passing through Ahmedabad. So we had to plan, and we are safe here inside the premises where I'm giving this webinar. We had planned this in prior, so there are certain issues with power and network that we're facing. So anyway, we are back live. And with WAN, as you see, it's connected right now over this Wisdom 3G router that we are doing. And let me show the GSM thing. So a lot of global partners must be aware with the addition of APN and ICCID, where you had to, ask our support team, and especially Bhumik, my colleague, used to, do this for you when we had to configure a new SIM. So here we have an option for a manual entry. You can easily add the APN, and the dependency on our support team again reduces here. So this feature enables a lot of ease of access and addition of new SIM cards as we were speaking. I'll show you about the SIM card as well, how we have modified in the hardware, but this is something that the configuration possibility is given on the device visualization software. And for the LAN is for Modbus and other switch protocols, you can select from here and configure it as per the need. So this entirely is how the network and the sensor configuration features are added. So let me now speak about this, the calibration mode. So once I enable the calibration mode, you can perform your site calibration or the spot calibration, as we say, from the device itself. You can visualize it. The calibration module is right here, so you just have to switch it on, and you can maybe take care of this particular visualization. So we would like to showcase more about this in the coming time about the calibration module. But let me just quickly go back to my presentation and continue with what I was talking in terms of just give me a moment and we will start showing that. Yeah. Thank you. I'm seeing a lot of people who have voted for the calibration facilities webinar. So I think we'll soon plan that in the future and give you a highlight of that. But let me complete the fact of what I was talking in terms of the calibration capabilities. So if I talk about the on-device calibration feature, we received this from a few partners who would do this calibration on site, and they would be dependent on us, on the support team, to configure and apply corrections for fine-tuning the drift. So now with this feature, you can deploy your engineer, you can perform these calibration website. The UI is ready. It's a very user-friendly UI, and it's very easy to perform the calibration, generate reports, and all along. it's just as I said, it's a simple toggle for enabling and disabling the calibration mode. So once you are done, you need to disable so that you can get the data back. So between the calibration, you won't receive that data because there could be some spikes, or it could be actually influenced by the gas or the zero air that you're using. So this talks of another feature. Let me move on and talk something on the automation module that I was showing in the software. So if you see, there was a requirement from a lot of you and a lot of other clients for third-party automation capabilities. So we can configure the relay for this kind of data-driven automation. So imagine if you want to configure maybe a mist cannon based on the threshold values of particulate matter. So those kind of automations are now possible. There is a two-channel relay which is inbuilt in all the devices. So which means you can control two equipments by setting threshold values at the same time from the device. So if you see in the image, that is what we are trying to show. So there's an HVAC and there is a mist cannon which is controlled at the same time from the device with triggering these threshold values. So this is another feature that we have introduced with this version. The version V6 is what we call that. So this is an addition to that. So far, we have spoken about the processor, the capabilities of calibration, software capabilities. So this is a definite introduction of such features. Now let me take you to the communication protocols that we have added for the compatibility. The new version is empowered with some added wired and wireless communication protocols. This also, again, thanks to you all people that we have encountered so many feedback about inclusion of certain options. But not only that, we notched it up, and this upgrade ensures multiple communication networks that can be handled simultaneously. Yes. So that means a Wi-Fi, GSM, Ethernet, and Modbus, they all can work together with the smart management protocol. Now, this smart management protocol, again, I take the pride in telling that has been developed in-house with the R&D team, which has spent time and developed this and made this feature wonderfully available to all of us. Now, the devices are compatible with fallback to the 3G and 4G networks along with LTE. I already explained the entire configuration with GSM, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet on our portal. We have dedicated connectors for relay output and Modbus. That's the two-channel relay output and Modbus. Also, a mini PCI port is available on the device. So this means even if someone wants to connect their own communication module, it can be connected on request. Example, supported mini PCI NB-IoT module. So that can be configured once we know how we can do that. Once we have the information about the model, and we can help you out with your own communication protocol. But all said, it would be always good to know what is the communication protocol that your project, the devices under your project are going to work on. So this will be easier for us to support you throughout. Okay, so this was all about the processor, the calibration capability, the software features. We talk about the communication protocol. Now, let me just highlight some of the hardware changes that we have shared. Again, I remind you, if you have any queries or doubts, feel free to put in the Q&A section, and I'll be happy to answer these questions at the end of this webinar. The screen shows very clearly the difference between the V5, the previous version, and the new version, that is V6. In the new version, we have an additional connector for Modbus as well as the two-channel relay. Also added is something as an external SIM card slot. How do we function about that? We'll talk about it in the next slide in detail. But before that, let me show a demo of this the two comparative devices. I have my colleague Harsh, who's going to help me out with the showcasing of the demo here. And yeah, as you can see right now, the left version, the left device is the V5. There are 4 connectors. One is the power connector. So for this device, we had to always keep the power cable inside from the SMP, the device cable for switching it on. The other three are for wind, rain, and the USB for troubleshooting. On the right, you see is the new version. So you see there are 5 connectors. The first one is for power. It does not need any currently connected to the SMPs. It's independent of that. And the other 4 connectors are wind, rain, your Modbus, and relay, the 2-channel relay. There is an Ethernet connector as it was previously. The 2 outlets are for gas inlet and outlet. Is the same for this. There is a temperature cap which is slightly shifted the top. The noise is almost in the same position, and the dust inlet is also almost, it's a little slight on the top. So this is the changes. These are the changes that we have in this. You can see that there is no change in the identification with the light on the switch. So the LED lights remain the same. The cyan breathing still means that the device is on and it's giving, it's connected and it's giving data. The pink flashes remain the same. So there is no change in that. So this was something that I wanted to show as far as the connectors are concerned. So let me go back to my presentation and share the next hardware change that is connected to this. This is the SIM card slot. So in cases of the Indian deployments, wherever we did the project in India, we didn't find much hassle at site, because once the device was unpacked, the SIMs that were provided from the factory were almost never replaced. So that was not an issue. But during the global deployments, there were times when a particular SIM needed to be replaced, and our partners would replace the SIM as per the need. So now the external SIM slot would make things much easier. So in the previous version, the SIM card slot was inside the device. Used to open the device, unlock it, open the enclosure, take the MCU module out, insert the SIM or replace the SIM as per the need, then again close it, latch it again. So this was kind of an intensive process. We heard you, we understood there is a scope of improvement, and we did not want this to be taken in continuation. So we have now a SIM card extender, which is in the new version. And this is an IP67 rated external SIM card, which is outside the enclosure. So it's just a 3-step process. You open the cap, insert the SIM or replace the SIM, and then close the cap. That's it. So that is kind of an improvement that we have in terms of making it a little less labor intensive. So again, I would request Harsh to help me out with showcasing the capabilities of the SIM card. And you can see right now that the SIM extender is on the right, and we can open the cap, and maybe there is already a SIM inside. So what we are going to do is show you how to replace it. So Harsh is going to take this out. It's just a push and the SIM comes out, and we are going to insert a new SIM. So this is how easy it is as far as compared to what we used to do. So this is done, and we close it with the cap. So this, as I said, has made the entire 9 processing into a 3 processing. So let's get back to our presentation. We spoke about the hardware changes, and the next hardware change is something that I'm really excited about to show. It gives me pleasure to introduce OGS to all of you, so which is OISOM gas sensors. These gas sensors are specially mounted on custom-made ISBs, and thus they have a standard proprietary protocol for data transmission. What made us do this is because in certain deployments on field, we could find that there are some effects of electromagnetic interferences, which gave us some errors in the electronic signals, ultimately giving erroneous results with the parameters, especially some of the gaseous parameters. So we wanted to, develop a system which did not have such kind of effect. So the current OGS that you're seeing on the right has a standard footprint for plug and play, and the enclosure eliminates any kind of EMF interference. So that's what we have been able to achieve. Also, we have OGS that is color coded and which is easy to identify on the sensor board. So which means it's easily replaceable, and that means simple maintenance. So you can just see it from your OGS. There's a color, and then there's a sensor board which highlights where it fits. I'll show you in a minute, but before that, to refresh your memories, let me just go back and see how the older version was. So that will give you an idea of what I'm speaking. So if you see right now, the device, this was the older version. There's a sensor board. Also, while we are seeing it, I'll also highlight a couple of changes in this. You see the battery, which is there on the left, and there is the MCU module, which I was talking, where we had to insert the SIM. So that's the MCU module is no longer in the newer version, and there is a slight change in the battery, which I'm going to showcase. So coming back to the sensor board, we had the thumb bolt removed for this demo currently, so it's easier for us to showcase. So now we can remove the sensor box, and you can see the sensors that were present in the previous version. So this is how it looks. So we had these mounted on the ISBs, and then used to go on the on the device, on the sensor board. So right now, what we have with the newer version is this. This is the OGS that I am speaking. This is an excellently well-made design from our designers, and all this is in this pandemic where we have, as I said, worked together as a team and come up with this fantastic solution. So this currently is the carbon monoxide sensor in my hand. You can see color coded here with the green. So all I have to do is, while I insert, I need to check the CO marked on the sensor board, and it just goes inside with the standard footprint plug and play sensors, right? So let me give you a glimpse in the actual device, and let me go back to Harsh and ask him to showcase the video with the explanation. Yeah. So as you see, let me first give you the information on the battery. You can see there's a new design of the battery because the power consumption has increased, and we have gone with the processor module. So this is where we had to slightly change with this. The dust sensor is also placed, which can easily replaceable in case if it is needed. So now let's go to the sensor box. So again, we have removed the thumb bolts here for the ease of this demonstration. So I can remove the sensor box and show you how, for me, it's really beautiful to see this. It's quite a refreshing change that our designers have come. So let me just check. Okay. I had someone saying that they are not able to see it. Yeah, right. I think while I'm speaking, I'm going to change this to the screen so that it's easy for you to view. Somebody just wrote that you're not able to see. Yeah. So let's go back to this, and we are going to showcase these color codes, as I was saying, how wonderful they look. So it's in the color coded scheme. You can see orange, red, and such colors have been given to specific sensors where they have been fit. On the right, so you can see there's an H2S sensor, which is not placed, but you can place it after seeing that. So that's there. Also, let's see how easy it is to unplug the sensor. As I said, with the carbon monoxide sensor, we are just going to maybe unplug it and see how easy we can do that. So Harsh has done this. He's the production in charge. He knows this. He switched off the device without even me telling him. That's how it is to be done. And here you can see the carbon monoxide sensor in his hand, and you can see the mark on the sensor board which says CU. So that kind of color identification makes it easier for somebody who's going on site and maybe needed to either replace or maybe do some troubleshooting as needed. So let me go back to my PPT and continue with some other features that we have added. Yeah, so the Penultimate hardware upgrade that we are going to discuss today is about the rainfall measurement sensor. Now, this new version will be accompanied with 200 millimeter metallic enclosure. The primary reason for this addition is again to eliminate any electromagnetic interference. We had certain experience and some observations when we deployed WeatherCom at some of the ports where we could see some spikes because of certain EMF. So that is what triggered us to use this kind of metallic enclosure. Also, it ensures weather resistance on the actual body, so which there is a possibility of mild deterioration over the time, but this kind of an enclosure ensures that that doesn't happen, and there is a longevity of the use. And finally, the 200 millimeter dia ensures that it complies to mostly all the global standards for rainfall measurement, including the IMD, that is the Indian Meteorological Department. So they have issued the guidelines of what should be the ideal length and all. So that is where it falls. So I'll give you a glimpse of the rainfall sensor that I have here. So it's the basic structure, it remains the same, the mounting and all. But as you see, this is the metallic enclosure that we have right now, and it gives you a robust look to the rainfall sensor and complies, as I said, to the guidelines. So this is the rainfall sensor. Nothing else changes. The other things are all same. It's just the enclosure that comes on this. Okay, I hope you are all liking the features that I have been adding. So let me continue with this and showcase our next feature, which is the certain features, which we did not share in the release note because they have been deployed without such webinars or any such release notes, right? So we wanted to add this in this webinar itself. Few of you must be aware about these variations. So one of them is this heated inlet. The heated inlet, the purpose of adding this is to nullify the effect of humidity on the particulate matter measurement. We all know there is some correlation when it comes to PM and humidity, especially particles of size 2.5 micron, which may agglomerate and give larger particle size and maybe sometimes give an erroneous reading. So this is where we have improved and we have added the sensor here, which gives you the heated inlet impact. So you on the screen you can see how it is deployed, but I'll give you a glimpse in the video of one of the installed devices. I'll go back to Harsh, who has been kind enough to help me out in this. And as you see, this is where the sensor is deployed. So the inlet is the metallic structure that you are seeing. The air goes inside from there, and it goes into the sensor. And after the sampling is done, it then goes from the exit and exits the device. So this is a simple structure, although it's a little complicated as far as the technology is considered, because we wanted to ensure that in humid conditions we can give the best possible results or highly accurate reading. If you notice here in this device, you will find that there is no battery. Because at this moment, because of the high power consumption, we cannot offer the power backup, or also this cannot run at this point on the solar power. So this is another feature that I wanted you to see. This was not in the release note, but I wanted to highlight this. Yeah, let's go back to our presentation and let me share. This was the final hardware feature that we were talking on. Now I want to just share one more feature that we have added with this version, the complaint management API. So we are really, really grateful to having such partners who have helped us understand the customer needs in all varied sectors. And one such area was to have citizens registering complaints for poor air quality, or maybe report an incident leading to high concentration of dust or maybe foul smell. So this can now be availed through our complaint API, where where citizens can maybe register a complaint, click a photo, describe the complaint, and the authorities can then take actions based on where the location is, assign it to certain concerned officers to ensure that the complaint is resolved. So this is now available. The APIs are available. You can reach out to our account managers who will help you out to get more information on this. And with this, I am done with the features that I was supposed to share with all of you guys for this design upgrade basic. But there is another surprise for all your partners. I'm really excited to show you a glimpse of a new product that we are going to launch in the coming time. So this is what I'm going to show. I'm going to share with you the announcement that AQBot is the product that we are going to launch in the coming future. Let me give you a glimpse of the product and share some information on that. AQBot will be a single parameter device with gaseous or particulate matter and noise parameters. More than 10 plus variants for industrial applications. The AQBot will be powered with an on-device display and an on-device beacon with buzzer, and it will be working on all the industrial communication protocols. We have applied for all the necessary certifications, and this will be soon be offered to you for the end clients. And for any further details, we'll be sharing you the data sheet and everything for this. I hope you are excited to know this new product. I'm going to show you this product on the cam. So this is how the product looks. This is the AQBot. This is in my hand. This is the demo piece that I have in my hand. You can see there is an on-device display which shows the concentration with the parameters and unit. At the bottom, you can see the sensor is here with okay. I have someone saying who cannot. I can. It's audible, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think it's audible. Maybe you can just try to reconnect. Yeah. So as I was saying, the connectors and the switch and all are something that is similar in the V6. This is the sensor that I'm going to show. There's this temperature THP sensor. There is a addition of the buzzer and the Ethernet. So this is how it is. The AQBot that we have right now for you to have a glimpse. But I think I'm going to stop here and keep it aside. I don't want to lay out a lot of details at this. I want that you guys should ask questions on the AQBot, and we are ready, almost ready with the device, and soon we should be posting another product launch for this. So this brings to the end of my part for today. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, feel free to write it down in the Q&A section. If you haven't asked any, and if you want to do it right now, please do that. We can, have question be answered. I also have Sohil, who's the CTO of Uzom, who will help me out in case if required for answering any questions. So thank you once again for being there to and attending this webinar. I'll now switch to the Q&A sections. Okay, I have Mr. Ajinkya, who has asked for can we have an analog communication like 420 if the customer demands it. We are working on this for the AQBot, but I think Sohil can maybe answer this question.
Yes, we are anyways working for 420 milliamp communication, specifically for AQBot, because as we know, it's an analog communication and there are very few protocols which is available on 420. So we can get only couple of sensors data. We are planning to give at least 2 channels so that you can get at least two data points on 420 if you want from the device, because in Smart and Pro versions, I am not sure if people will use it because Smart and Pro have lot of sensors. So on 420, it is really hard to get all those data. But for AQBot, definitely we are going to give 420.
Yeah. Thank you, Sohil, for the answer. Another question from Ajinkya is, can we install heated inlet in Polytron Smart, or it can be only used in Destroid? Well, presently it's only with the Destroid Pro version. In the Smart version, we are not offering it. But feel free to discuss the application and where exactly you want to go ahead with this kind of a deployment. What's the application? And let's discuss it offline. You can speak to your our sales managers communicating with you, and maybe we can discuss this. But currently, no, we don't have the capability of doing that in the smart version. Mr. Mohammed is asking, disabling any sensors will positively affect the battery life. How can you manage the uplink and payload limitation of Sigfox? I think I'll have to divert this question to Sohail. It's a wonderful question. Sohail, the question I'm repeating is, will disabling any sensors positively affect the battery life? And how can you manage the uplink and payload limitation of Sigfox?
Yeah. So Mohammed, yes, definitely. For the first answer, if we disable any sensors, that will definitely affect the battery life, and it will increase the battery life definitely if we are disabling. But not all the sensors, couple of, because all the OGS are very low power sensors. But if you disable the PM sensors, definitely it will increase some battery life. And for the Sigfox, yes, we just tested and did some POCs. We also know that there's a lot of limitation of the payload in Sigfox. It's not like LoRa. So there we tried to manage our own protocol. We tried to made our own protocol, and we are sending data in 2 to 3 frames, depend on the version. So we know that only 12 bytes is supported in Sigfox. So we have 1 byte which will define which type of payload it is and what kind of data are there in that payload. And based on that, we are debugging on the cloud side as soon as we get the data from the Sigfox and get it back into a cloud software. So yes, definitely it's a limitation, but we tried to make some new protocol by our own, and we tested it recently.
Yeah, thank you, Sohail. Vinod Pandey has asked the life of gas sensors. So it's there in our data sheet, but you can refer to that. Usually the gas sensors, we commit from 18 to 24 months, but there have been cases, it really depends on the concentration of the surrounding where it is placed. So, but there have been cases where the sensors are working even more than 2 years or so. So, but as per the data sheet that we have, it's around 18 to 24 months. Mike has asked, so AccuBot will be certified as intrinsically safe. Yes, we are in the process of getting the certifications done, but I think we'll share such details once we will, speak when we have everything in hand and we can schedule another webinar for AccuBot related questions. Arthur is asking, can you also provide this webinar so I can share with others who could not? Yes, absolutely, Arthur. I'll try. I think we can make a PPT available to all of you, and then you can share this. So yes, this will be done. Fatima is asking, how reliable is the SIM card holder? It's absolutely reliable. It's an IP67 rated holder, so there's not an issue with that. What is the certain range of a gas sensor that it can sense? So as I said, there are many gas sensors that are there. We have our flagship products from Polydron to OdoSense, Destroyed, and Weathercom. So Polydron and OdoSense have many parameters which you can enable. So it depends on what specifically you are asking for. Feel free to go through our data sheet, which will have an entire list of all the gas sensors with the range. In case if you could not find, feel free to write to us. I'll give you the exact gas sensing range. Sammy says, when will the V6 available to ship? Oh, that's a very good question, Sammy. We are already in the process of the field trials that are going on right now. I can say that maybe in a few days we'll get the answer to your question, and you can reach out to our representative with whom you are communicating, and based on the project and all, we will commit you the timeline. So I think they will be the right the people to answer this. But this is ready, and this is for now deployment. So there is no holding back on any for the V6. Andrew asked, how heavy is the real-time data transmitted via the internet remotely? In case of poor internet connection, is there an inbuilt system that helps to transmit the real-time data remotely, irrespective of the network signal strength? So Andrew, I think, Swil, I'm going to answer this, and you can add if I've missed out on anything. So we have this system where, in case of there is a network failure, the stored data will be auto-synced to the cloud, and you can then access the data once you retrieve the network. So this possibility is there. Sohail?
Yes, so that is already there. And Andrew, as you already told, if the system is capable to even transmit the data with a lower signal strength. So yes, we tested that also. So even if with the lower signal strength, it is able to transmit the data, maybe device management and the firmware update and all such OTA features is not available with the low signal strength, but data will be transmitted irrespective of even low signal strength in couple of areas.
I hope, Andrew, we have answered your question. If you're still seeking for any other information, feel free to write, and we'll help you out with that. Can we augment with external batteries and larger solar, wind, and power? Mike has asked. Sohail, I think you can
Yeah.
answer this.
So yeah, yes, Mike, we can definitely do that because now the device, anyways, we all know device is working on the DC power. So you can make your own external battery system or even connect it with a larger solar or wind power systems, which can give you a DC 24 volt. So
Yeah.
as soon as the DC 24 volt is there, or maybe in between 12 to 24 volt DC is there, the battery will get charged. Not even 20, at least 18 is needed because battery is around 14 volt. So we need at least 16 to 24 volt DC to charge the batteries.
Yeah. Thank you, Sohail. Ajinkya has asked, can we have a moisture trap system, moisture trap bottles for high moisture areas? Well, I think that's what the whole purpose with the heated inlet is. It's going to, eliminate any kind of humidity or moisture that enters in the system. So I think that will not be a problem with the application that you are suggesting. Ethanol sensor, Vinod Pandey is asking. Well, currently we do not have in our ecosystem for the ethanol sensor, but you can actually write to us about the application, and maybe I can connect with the R&D team and see how we can get this done. Yeah. Ajinkya, yeah. Sohail, you wanted to say something?
No.
Okay. Ajinkya, also we are looking to have MCerts or TUV certifications, as many customers ask it. Well, Ajinkya, thank you so much for this question. We have already initiated this part, and you will soon hear something from us on this. So be rest assured with what you have asked for. Rafael is asking, do we actually have a video of the rain measurement working for a rain or even a prototype? I'm not having actual video of the rain measurement working for a rain or even a prototype. This I'm assuming you're asking if we already have this sensor ready. This is ready. We can deploy it with the current with the future project. I don't know if this is what you're asking. In case if my answer is not what you were asking, feel free to get in touch with your exact question. I'll help you out with that. How long does it take to integrate the other communication network like RF? Okay, this I have to go to Sohail because I think he can help us.
So, that depends on which module is available and what frequency you want. So if the modules are available in MPCI format, mini PCIe format, then we have a port, we can easily connect it and we can make necessary changes in the firmware and we can test that RF communication network easily. So now with the V6, we want to eliminate all these kind of small limitations which we are facing with the controller. With the processor, whatever module you will provide us with the data set, our firmware team can write a driver for that modules for our particular system, and it will be ready to use in the field.
Yeah. Rafael is asking that in case of solar power fails, what can be the alternative for its power backup? I guess, see, solar would be as a power backup. It's a compatible thing and may not be used as a primary power source. So already the system has a battery backup, which will ensure a minimum of 12 to 13 hours with all the sensors and the configuration. But I think solar would be more like a power backup. So is there anything that Sohail you want to add to this?
So Rafael, like if solar power fails, then and if the battery is also not capable to run the device, then there might be only one option is there, which is a live power, which we have to provide, which is a AC, alternate current, or maybe a live power. Or if you do not have an AC, and if we have a DC power somewhere, you can directly plug that also with the device and device will work, and the battery will start charging and the device will also start working with the battery.
Yeah. Arthur, I assume you have a owner's and installation manual. We have a bidding project and would like to receive details to properly estimate the project. How and whom do we contact to obtain these details? Yes, Arthur, the manual is almost on the verge of getting published. There are certain changes that it's in the process, will be available to you within a week's time. For the project, I think you can reach out to us and contact Janam from our team. I hope you are connected to him, so he'll help you out with the manual and everything. Yeah. Is there a price difference between V5 and V6? I think the pricing discussion can be taken one-on-one with the sales representatives that you are discussing. Let's talk more on the technical capabilities, because I think that is an endless discussion and we can go forward with that. I'll move to the chat section now because I see there are a lot of questions here. So I'll be reading them one by one. A lot of people have actually thanked us for this presentation. In fact, I thank you for being here and helping us out with such kind of feedback so that we could improve here on this. Let me quickly go to the question. Mike has asked whether a QBot will be, oh yeah, that's there, the question is there. Yeah, Mrs. Srinivas has asked, when SIM card is outside the cabinet, what about safety at site? Well, if your concern is with the vandalism part, we would say that these devices are more or less always installed at a height of 4 to 6 meters from the ground. So firstly, the access is something that is not very easy for this. And I guess this is one thing. Maybe we can also see how we can improve the, if at all there is a locking or anything required. But I think more or less there won't be an issue when something is deployed at a height which is not easily accessible to Yeah. So Sohail, anything that you want to add?
Answer, maybe in some cases or in some places, if you feel that there is a chance of vandalism, then we can even insert the SIM card directly inside our motherboard, like before. So we can remove that IP67 connector. On field also, you can just remove one wire inside the device and put a SIM card instead of that particular our wire SIM.
Yeah, I think that's also a good suggestion. I think we can do, but it would be great if you can share any locations or any applications where you feel that this is going to be an issue, and maybe we can discuss an answer to this. How user-friendly Wi-Fi is? It's just a wireless communication protocol, and it's if you are asking for the configuration, it's very easy. It's just a two-step process which you can do. Maybe we can discuss in detail when we plan something on the software, and we can help you out with all the modules and how this is done. But it's for the Wi-Fi, it's just a simple addition of your credentials, and you can easily get connected to a Wi-Fi. So that's not a very big thing. Is there alarm light for the sensor? Well, we don't have any specific alarm light for the sensor, but if you're talking if you can be integrated to an external alarm, yes, there's a possibility now, like with a relay, or you can connect it to an alarm and based it on the threshold. But the LEDs, if you're speaking, they are only the ones that are already there. Like the yellow blinking is for your configuration, the green is to when it's connecting to the network, the pink flashing is when it's sending the data, and the cyan reading, which you were seeing most of the time, is when it's in the stable condition and it's working. So this is the only light indications that we have. Mr. Srinivas has asked, are you providing formaldehyde sensor as standard or add-on sensor? So formaldehyde becomes a part of our flagship product, which is ODOSense. So we can, give it as far as the standard offering is considered. So help us out to understand the application that you want to install upon, and our sales representatives can, speak on how we can furnish this. Okay, Ben has written, thank you for the presentation and interesting product. We install instruments in public areas, and there's a risk of vandalism to disconnect connectors, dismount instruments. We cannot rely on simple bolts and nuts. Can you offer a lockable cage or simple protection to keep the instrument safe in public areas? So Ben, I'm sure you would know that there is a wire lock that is provided, which can only be, cut through a specific wire lock cutter. You can also have it with a locking arrangement for a device, which would be, useful. If there is anything specific that we can help, because the bolts and nuts that you are speaking are an internal part. So once you can, breach in the device, only then you get an access. So if there is something that you're raising with the outdoor locking process, feel free to, discuss. Let us take a detailed discussion on that, and we can, see how we can do this, improve on this. Okay, will AQBot include relays? Yes, it will. We have seen power junction box for the new V6 version. It remains same. Yes, it remains same. The power supply unit will remain same for this. There is no change in the design of that structure. It's a good point that you have mentioned. I think I did not show you that, so I'll just give you a glimpse of even that. So there is no change in the power this thing. This is going to be the same as you can see. There is no change in that. Also, we have a problem to source same battery as we use in Australia. Can we use a deep cycle gel battery instead? Then I'll have to see about this, and maybe Sohail, we can take this into a note. He has suggested to use a deep cycle gel battery because there's some problems to source them to Australia. So let's take a note of it and we'll work on it then. Thanks for this information. David has asked, so I see the sensor is open, including the assembly components. Is this contaminate all components? Is there alarm light can be connected to the sensor? Okay. For the first part, I think the alarm thing I already answered in your previous question. So this is again, the enclosure is weatherproof. So that is not going to harm the electronics. But when you talk about the sensor, let me also take you back to our basic e-breathing function that we have, which is something that is kind of an USP for us. There are sensors that are exposed with some of our competitors, and our systems have this active sampling e-breathing technology, which is a biomimicry of the human lung, and that ensures that all these the dust or maybe the weather fluctuations in wind speed or temperature humidity does not affect the sensor reading. So I'm sure this is not going to affect the components or maybe ultimately give you a faulty reading. Great.
Just wanted to add, I think David and couple of people also asked about the light. So in AQBot, we have on-device light, the buzzer which you see in the AQBot, that also have a light, alarming light, which will be there. So it's a buzzer with the light itself. So for AQBot, yes, we already incorporated. If someone want to use it into a Polydrone or OdoSense, you can request us. We can try, because we never tried and we haven't come up with any such use cases where people asked us in Polydrone or OdoSense. But definitely we can see and we can add it if it's required, because the device also have a facility, and all our devices now onwards, all the versions, OdoSense, Polydrone, Dustbite, all of them have a 2 relays. So that is also the question a lot of people ask. So relay is a by default in all the versions is provided.
That's actually great. Thanks, Sohail, for the addition. Okay, the last question I think that I have is we need more application case studies for each industry domain. Surely Mr. Prasad will take this into consideration, and we'll share you the case studies which are there, and let us know if you need anything further on that. David has written, how is the data transmission using SIM card, SMS, and its costing? How is the data transmission using cloud? I think David, costing we can discuss separately on a one-on-one thing with, sorry.
So for the first question, we are sending data over a GSM or the data communication protocol. We are not using any SMS as of now from the device itself. So that's 2G, 3G or 4G network we are using to send the data to our cloud. And the costing of the cloud, I think yes, Ayan already discussed.
Let's take it separately, and because that's a very exclusive thing. And also he has asked, how is the data transmission using cloud? So if you can highlight on that too. So
so the data transmission from the device to a cloud, we already see there are a lot of communication protocol available. So from any of the communication protocol, we right now using our own secured COAP protocol to transmit the data from the device to our cloud services. So that remains the same, which we are using before.
Great. So a couple of more questions. One from Ajinkya: how widely can we promote LoRa communication as we have limitations in India? I think we did a webinar on this last year, and we spoke about the applications on LoRa. So I think it can be deployed. There are a couple of gateways available for this, and we have been doing some projects on this. So we can discuss about this if you have something specific in your mind, and we can help you out with how we can, go forward, because we have done some projects on that, and we are currently live. So let's take this discussion on LoRa with the separate application that you have. And will AQBot have GPS built in? So yes, it will, right, Sohil?
Yes, all our devices have a built-in GPS now onwards.
Yeah, yeah.
So definitely,
So
AQBot will be also having the same GPS technology in it.
yes. So I think this was the last question, and this brings to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the wonderful comments that I'm reading, how you all have given your appreciation for this. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Sohil, for this presentation, this helping out with me for the Q&A. This has been wonderful. So at this point, I will sign off. I am Ayan, and I hope you had good time on this webinar. So I'll pass on to Janam for the concluding remarks. Over to you, Janam.
Thank you so much, Ayan, for the wonderful presentation, and a special thanks to Sohil for answering all these questions. I mean, it's really interesting that how so many things have been cleared in a single call across all our partners. So, and for everyone, I understand that this is just a lot of information to comprehend in like 50-60 minutes. I mean, there's just so much that's been going on. So, of course, we will be sharing a link, a YouTube link of this recording with all of you, as well as the updated data sheets as soon as we have them. And also, if you have any other additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us, your respected account managers, project managers, or me or Ayan directly. We will be more than happy to address your questions. And yes, thank you so much. And all of us are going through like really tough times. So I just advise everyone, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and thank you once again. And have a nice week. Bye-bye.